Good morning, Southeast Idaho. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith at the National Weather Service in Pocatello with your weather hazard briefing for Tuesday, February 20th. Big picture here for the next few days. We're continuing to be in an active weather period across the region here. We're continuing to see lots of rain and snow shower activity kind of coming in waves here across Southeast Idaho. But even though this pattern's going to remain in place, it's going to be fairly low impact for most areas here. We have low pressure sitting just off the Pacific coast. It's actually going to stay out there, the main weather system that's prompting a lot of this moisture to penetrate inland. It's going to keep that pattern going through about Thursday night. Not expecting really any organized widespread weather hazards out of this as far as big wind or big widespread snowfall, anything like that. But there's a couple little caveats here. This is kind of a pattern that I refer to as kind of a sneaky weather hazard pattern here for winter. Even though we're not expecting these large, organized, widespread issues for the forecast area, we may see a few localized patches of dense morning fog each of the next couple mornings that could really knock your visibility down and be dangerous to motorists out there. Also could see some localized slick highways if you get a decent shower coming through at just the right time of day, at just the right location where temperatures are just cold enough for snow versus rain. Could certainly see some slick spots out there for those who are traveling, or we'll wet the roads down just enough to create some black ice issues as we cool off during our overnight periods. So again, even though we're not expecting big widespread weather issues, there will be some of these localized hazards here cropping up over the next 2 to 3 days that a few of you may have to contend with, again, especially if you're out there driving or traveling. So we'll try to keep an eye on these as best we can. We'll try to nowcast them and get messaging out as appropriate here. But as far as giving you a lot of information ahead of time or watches or warnings or anything like that, there's just not a lot to hang your hat on here. Again, just a showery, unsettled, but not very organized weather pattern here going forward. Now, there is a break coming up as we get into Friday and Saturday. A little bit better confidence is building here that we'll see high pressure build in for at least a 2-day period, providing some dry weather, some slightly warmer temperatures, particularly if you're down in the eastern Magic Valley and lower Snake Plain. There's some signs this might continue into Sunday. Our confidence isn't quite there yet for Sunday. We do have another big storm system that's going to drop into the region at some point as we get toward the end of the weekend or the beginning of the following week, but certainly Friday and Saturday looking like a nice break here in our unsettled weather pattern. That's reflected well here on the weather risk outlook. You can see patchy morning fog for most of the region here this morning and Wednesday morning as well. Just about everybody lit up with a few rain showers, some snow showers, or some rain and snow showers here over the next 2 days. And a few of those snow showers will linger into Thursday. That'll particularly be east of I-15, maybe up toward the Stanley area and some of the mountains around Stanley as we actually start to dry out Thursday into the lower Snake Plain, the eastern Magic Valley, and some of the adjacent valleys here. So for some of you, your break will begin Thursday, but certainly that confidence builds in drier conditions as we head into Friday and Saturday with nothing painted here currently for weather hazards. Satellite loop this morning, not that different from yesterday. One thing you may notice is there isn't a big blob of moisture coming in across California and Nevada this morning like we were seeing yesterday. Of course, we had that more organized period of rain and snow yesterday afternoon. This kind of speaks to what we're talking about here. It's still unsettled. It's still going to be a little showery, but just not a lot of big, long-duration, organized periods of precipitation here. You can see the blue hanging out over portions of eastern Idaho here. That's the lower stratus clouds that'll be a concern for aviation. That's also a little bit of patchy, dense fog out there that we're seeing. And you can see there's some higher level white, more wispy white and gray clouds moving to the northeast here, particularly down across the Bear Lake and Southern Highlands region. We included fog in the forecast here for a lot of you this morning, but actually so far compared to yesterday, it's been really isolated. Those spots that we're seeing, these pockets of dense fog, just not a lot of them out there so far. One reason for that might actually be these higher clouds, these whites and grays here that you see drifting across the Southern Highlands, Bear Lake, Caribou County, kind of acting as a blanket and keeping our surface temperatures a degree or two warmer. And when we can hold temperatures just a touch warmer, the air down at the surface is able to hold on to just a little bit more water vapor without that condensing into clouds and fog. So that may actually be taking the edge off of some of our fog coverage out there this morning. I'll show you a webcam here in a minute, but first the current radar loop. Just like we've been saying, here's some of that showery activity. You can see some organized showers here north of Burley and to the west of Arco drifting through, maybe dropping some very light rain and snow out of those. Also some activity down here near the Utah border. We've seen some signs we might be seeing just a little bit of freezing drizzle or just normal drizzle here across portions of Interstate 84 to the south of Idaho as you head down toward the Utah border, maybe a slick spot or two in there. Also some fog down in that area. But in general, again, no big widespread blobs of precipitation that we have to deal with here on radar, and that'll be the case throughout the day today. Don't actually have any model loops to show you today because we're just not expecting a big start time or an end time to anything organized out of the showery activity as we proceed through the rest of the day and into this evening. Here's your winner this morning on a foggy webcam. This is Juniper Interchange down along Interstate 84, one of those spots that we're seeing pretty persistent dense fog and also possibly some drizzle down that way, so do keep an eye out for that. Again, though, fog's going to be really hit and miss. It's going to be really localized this morning. If you're out there driving or commuting into work. No watches, warnings, or advisories in effect for our local area here in southeast Idaho. Dense fog advisory down here into northeast Nevada, where coverage is a little more widespread. We just don't have the coverage up here in our area to issue an advisory for anything like that. Also some winter weather advisories for the mountains here as you head south down into northern Utah, where there will be some impacts from snow at some of the higher elevation highways down that direction. Low temperatures this morning, pretty similar to yesterday, perhaps a touch warmer for a few of you, generally in the upper 20s. There's some low 30s, some readings very close to freezing here from the population centers from Burley to Pocatello to Idaho Falls, also across the southern highlands down in the valleys. A little bit colder, 15 degrees this morning in Stanley, 19 expected here in Mackay as you're waking up and heading out. So certainly some spots up there much more conducive to snow, a little less marginal on your temperatures. High temperatures this afternoon getting up into the upper 30s, some low 40s, warmest readings as usual, creeping in across the eastern Magic Valley here into the Raft River region, where we'll see about 45 to 49 for high temperatures for quite a few of you out there. 45 for Pocatello, 37 up in Island Park, a little bit cooler. Even Salmon and Chalice probably breaking 40 for your high temperatures here by the time we get into the afternoon. Not a lot of change in those temperatures as we creep through the week here. Here's Wednesday's highs on the left. Here's Thursday's highs on the right. Very steady state for most of you, again, with some continued hit and miss rain and snow shower activity with not a lot of punch, not a lot of accumulation out of it. As we head into Friday and Saturday, you'll start to see a little bit of a warming trend here. Remember, these 2 days are our break. This is where we have higher confidence in dry conditions here for a period, get that shower activity out of here. And you can see some readings approaching 50 coming into Twin Falls and Burley and Jerome. And over here on the right, we have Saturday's high temperatures, 50 or even a few degrees better here in the eastern Magic Valley, 47 in Pocatello, even 42 up in Driggs. So just a hint of that warmer air as we head into our break here for the first part of the weekend. This graphic is showing you new snow for the entire next 72 hours. This is for Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday as we wrap up this unsettled showery weather pattern. And as you can see, just not expecting a lot of organized precipitation out there. Again, we may see some hit and miss slick spots if we get some good snow shower activity over some of the highways and temperatures are just right for it. May see some black ice during the colder overnight and morning periods. It'll provide some slick spots for motorists, but really hard to find much in the way of accumulation. Over here, far eastern Fremont County, as you start to get up into the terrain, certainly see some activity there. The Sawtooths, maybe 2 to 3 inches, 2 to 4 inches down in portions of the Bear River Range, mostly above Emigration Summit. And that's about it as we wrap up our current active weather pattern here. Remember your fog safety. Again, it's not widespread, but if you drive into it, it could be locally dense. Visibility a quarter mile or less, certainly not out of the question. We certainly saw that yesterday morning here, pretty close to our office on Interstate 86 near the Pocatello Airport. Perfectly great visibility, and then you drive into that fog bank and conditions deteriorate very rapidly. I like the way this graphic is worded too. Some of these can cause big impacts and cause some difficult travel conditions without making big news. You know, if we don't have a widespread hazard out there that we're issuing warnings and alerts for, doesn't mean that you're not going to have some localized problems. So remember to slow down. Speed is your biggest thing here for fog. Slow down. Use those low beam headlights. Leave plenty of extra space between you and other vehicles. Ask yourself, if you're running into fog, do I have enough room to stop if vehicles are suddenly stopped in the road ahead of me? We've certainly seen some of those larger pileups here in the past few months on the interstate, and certainly want everybody to avoid that here in these localized patches of fog. So that's the pattern we're in. That's what we're expecting here the next few days. Again, we'll wrap up that showery activity over the next 2 to 3 days here. Watch out for those patches of dense fog. Watch out for a little bit of black ice where roadways are wet, but a break arriving by Friday and Saturday across the region. Questions, comments, concerns, we're here 24/7. Information's at the bottom of this slide if you need to reach out to us. And everyone have a safe and happy Tuesday.